So I was sent there to do an audition. And I think people, they think too much or they overanalyze what an audition is. I think that's partly the problem. And this is what happened to me. The director just stopped the camera. He's like, just drop all that and just speak to me. And as soon as I did that, it was like, yeah, that's it. And then that was it. Thank you and bye. And that was the learning experience. It's just humanness. Humanness is at the core of everything we do.
Welcome back to Inside the Audition, the podcast that helps actors master the art and science of auditions so that you can stand out for all the right reasons and none of the wrong reasons and book your next lead role. I'm your host, Joey Freddy Larson. Make sure to connect with me on Instagram at Joey Freddy Larson. You can slip into the DMs, you can ask questions, you can suggest a topic for a future episode, or you can apply to be our next guest. Go to insidetheaudition.com to learn more about that. Remember that in each episode, we dive into audition experiences, industry advice, strategies, insights, inspiring stories from top actors, directors, producers, film and theater pros, people who can inspire you, whether you're an emerging actor or maybe you're a seasoned vet and you're a pro just looking to make the leap to the next level. Inside the Audition is your backstage pass to audition success. Also, remember that Inside the Audition is sponsored by the Monologue of the Month Club. That's right. The Monologue of the Month Club is your ultimate resource for professional emerging actors who want to attract agents, casting directors, and producers and book your next lead role. How does it work? Well, every month you'll have the opportunity to choose a made-for-you monologue from a curated collection that gets delivered to you in your inbox every month. Then you'll have the opportunity to join weekly monologue jams, basically monologue parties, where you'll have an opportunity to perform, to get personalized coaching and professional feedback. And then by the end of the month, film that monologue. So you have a brand new monologue reel that you can showcase to your agent, casting directors, share it on social media to attract your own audience. And every month you'll have that new polished monologue to do that. And ultimately you'll use that to book your next lead role. So the Monologue of the Month Club is your golden ticket to that next lead role. To start your journey, you can go to monologueclub.com. That's monologueclub.com to join the Monologue of the Month Club. Now, here's the exciting part. This is another episode of Coach's Corner. Our guest is an actor, a filmmaker, a self-proclaimed soldier of the arts, and also one of our newest Actors Audition Club coaches. He's an actor, he's a poet, he's a filmmaker, he's classically trained at the East 15 Acting School and York University for Creative Writing and Theater. He's best known for the New York Times best-selling book adaptation, Monkey on a Stick. He's multilingual. He's trained in Lee Strasberg, Linklater voice, and Rudolph Laban's efforts. With experience in TV, film, theater, music videos, he aims to help actors reach a state of intuitive free flow where you can channel your creative highest self. What an intro. Please welcome to the podcast, Kody Poisson.
Thank you so much, ahoy, and warmer salutations all.
I caught some of that, and then I think I heard a German word. And yeah, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for coming on the podcast here. One of my favorite things about you is you said, I think it was in one of your bios or somewhere, you said the phrase "soldier of the arts," like a mercenary of the arts.
Mm.
And I've never heard someone put it that way. Can you explain what that means? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, well, that coin of phrase came to me, a long time ago because I've been doing this since I was a kid, from training on and now more professionally. And I mean, I think one can get lost in a lot of the glamour and the spectacle of the entertainment industry, and uh, I'm a kind of antithesis to that. I do this because I have a high sense of duty, and I don't really know where that comes from. Maybe from childhood, I don't know, but it's that sense of duty, and I guess that's connected with the soldier of the arts. So I do a lot of this because it's my duty. I have some acumen for filmmaking, and I really enjoy executing filmmaking, and I guess that's where that phrase comes from.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, I love you. Ever since I've met you, and we've known each other a few years here in the community in Toronto, You've just seemed like one of those people who are like instantly, I'm like, oh, this guy's all in. He's not like a dabbler, kind of doing this just for the shits and giggles of it. Like you're full blown artist, 360, and this is your life. I would love for you to tell us, since this is inside the audition, I would love for you to share a memorable audition experience and a big lesson that you learned from that experience.
Mm, a memorable audition experience. I think the one that comes to mind, I was I was sent out to Winnipeg one time for an audition. That's a story in itself, but
Oh
just
yeah.
to kind of
Yeah. Sorry to hear
just
that. All the way to Winnipeg,
yeah,
huh?
yeah, boring, but beautiful museums and the educational institutions. But yeah, but just kind of getting into the audition. So I was sent there to do an audition, and I think people they think too much or they overanalyze what an audition is. I think that's partly the problem. And this is what happened to me. I came in with all this intellectual armor. I have to do this. End gaming. Essentially, I was trying to win the thing before I actually did the thing. And so I entered with all this preconceived notions and ideas of what I'm supposed to do. And when I did it, it was horrendous. And the casting director and the director just stopped the camera. He's like, just drop all that and just speak to me. And as soon as I did that, it was like, yeah, that's it. And then that was it. Thank you and bye. And that was the learning experience. It's just humanness. Humanness is at the core of everything we do. So really try to obviously prepare, do your preparation, whatever works for you. We all have a different, way of going about this enter with that sense of free flow, kind of a jam session mentality, riff with your guitar and just let fly, ad lib if need be. And that's really a good lesson I learned. Yeah.
I love that. Can you explain the difference between the first time you did it in that example? So you said you went in, you brought something, and then the guy's just like, no, 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 throw all that performative stuff away. What were you doing versus what did you do on the redirect?
Oh, I mean, everything was wrong. I mean, I thought about where am I going to put my head and what I'm going to do with my eyes and all this stuff. And it became everything that was external, I guess, right? I was thinking more about camera than what was happening internally, the sensations happening internally, what was bubbling up from the words, from the moment, from that conversation. Because I had actually a good reader. She was like a PA, I believe, off camera, but she was giving me so much and I was closed off because I was in here. I was in the prefrontal cortex, cerebrally trying to think my way through this, rather than just absorbing that ambered moment, of there was electricity that she was giving me, and to really breathe that in and let fly. And so once I dropped my guard, some real special discoveries were made, and that impressed everyone behind camera. Right?
How did you first get started as an actor? What was your initial? You said you started as a child.
Yeah. So I mean, I came like my upbringing was very different. I mean, it was a very rustic. We didn't have much. I mean, I grew in the mountains in Germany. I mean, we were kind of like mountain peasants. We didn't have much. I mean, I remember at 8 years old, um, putting down the plumbing for the small house we were in. I mean, I would, fetch water from a bucket so my mom could do the dishes or my father could shave up for work.
Wow.
I think I made my first phone call. It was probably 11. Like, I mean, so I kind of grew up in a very like Mennonite like experience, and with that, my Oma in particular, she was a dancer. She was a circus performer, and when through her youth she toured and did a lot of acrobatics. And obviously, when she grew older, she got out of it. But she really seeded the I guess the artistic tradition in me. I mean, she really got me into dance and stuff like that, and she really pushed me to pursue it, and particularly in education. So then I just started getting involved in the theater, and I think Shakespeare was, I remember reading my first play, which was it was Macbeth. It was Macbeth, and I
Wow.
remember reading, yeah, which was a stunning piece of melancholy and just the macabre, you know. And yeah, I got a hook on Shakespeare, but when I remember reading Shakespeare for the first time, uh, because I didn't have a much literary background, and so I was approaching it like, oh, this is so elevated, so outside my own experience, the these and thous and the thines and stuff. But once you start getting past the language, there are such things that they were experiencing in the Renaissance period where it was very similar to my own experience. So that was my journey, and I really started getting into the theater, and then eventually, when I moved to Toronto, I got into film.
I love what you said about Shakespeare there. I mean, it's brilliant language. It's beautiful, but the reason it still resonates hundreds of years later is there's the universal. There's the universal of family and love and jealousy and betrayal and
Yes.
money and all of those things. So you read it and yeah, it's heightened and yeah, they're kings and queens often, but we can all relate to getting stabbed in the back by someone or being so in love with someone that you want to die if they're not alive. Like, it's brilliant. And I also shout out to grandmothers. That's so cool. Um, any parent or grandma that any family member that encourages an artistic pursuit, I really have a lot of love and respect for those kind of people because it is the road less traveled. It's not the usual path. The default for some parents is they want to provide some kind of fake safety and security for their kids, so they're like, go get a real job or whatever you might.
Understandably so, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, but you mentioned that she did it when she was younger, and then when she got older, she left the circus, which instantly is like, ooh, is that a great series, Circus Granny? What if she had, what if she had never left the circus and she's like this brilliant 90-year-old acrobat that's flying through?
Yeah, no, she's like one of my muses. I mean, she has that kind of old Hollywood kind of,
Love it.
pomp to her. So yeah, she was just a huge driving force in
What's her
terms of
name?
where Krista Krader.
Nice, nice. Well, shout out to her. Um, do you remember your first like actual gig, like first student play, school play, the first thing that you booked as a professional actor?
I'll answer that question in two parts. So the first thing I did or I recall doing was I remember it was a cabaret musical performance in theater school. I forget how young I was, but I was very young. And I remember because I had to play multiple singing parts. So I played I guess what John Travolta did in Grease, whatever that role was. Again, it's so long ago.
Nice. Danny Zuko.
Danny,
Yeah, yeah.
Danny Zuko, there you go. So I remember playing that and dancing and swinging around and jumping around with leather jackets. And then I remember at the same time I played Ken. There was a like a Barbie musical, and I was playing Ken. But the interesting apart about that was the director, who is this like very old school, like European, like we must do this in a certain way, and very analytical and precise. And I had to move like an automaton, like I was made out of plastic. So I was
Oh,
like on stage and like singing. It was bizarre, but it very inspirational. So that's that. My first paid gig. Oh goodness gracious. Might have been a music video. It might have been a music video. I mean it's hard to say, but I'm gonna go with that. I remember I was approached by a band out in Vancouver. And if anyone listens to them, they're pretty big. They kind of do like country music. Tim and the Glory Boys.
okay.
I was approached by them to lead one of their new music videos, and I did so, and it was shot. And this is for film, obviously. I had paying gigs in theater, but I'm speaking about film here, and that was shot in Hamilton. Yeah, and it was the first paid film gig. Yeah.
Nice. Well, we share a common thread. You were Danny. My first on stage thing in a theater production was I was Kinnicky in Greece in grade eight.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, okay.
We both done go, Grease lightning, you're burning up the quarter
Yeah.
mile. Grease lightning, go. Yeah,
Dun, dun, dun,
popping
dun,
those,
dun.
popping those leather collared jackets too. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
great. Maybe we should reprise it. We got half the cast here. Yeah, yeah. When did you make the leap from performer to filmmaker slash creator? When did you start doing your own things with the camera?
Yeah. Um, well, a few years ago, I mean, I was doing some paid gigs, and but I was just very uninspired, and this is something I kind of self-discovered. There's very little nobility in the work. It's very hard to find it. A lot of times you're doing stuff you don't want to do or you don't necessarily care about it. And also, it doesn't really engage my intellectual faculties. And a lot of it was, the route that most Canadian performers take is they go through the union, they go through ACTRA. And I had my grievances with ACTRA. I've seen it and I've seen horror stories with it. And I didn't want to go through that. And the idea of, auditioning for series that I didn't necessarily care about or guest starring roles and because the majority of series were cast in America. Let's be honest. They're cast in New York and they're cast in Los Angeles. So the majority were of Canadian actors were auditioning for guest starring. And that just didn't appeal to me. But the idea, and it's always been there from my theater background and my literary background, was writing. The real work is really the literary work. So writing my own scripts and taking on independent filmmaking was something that a few years ago I really started. And I guess it's an unorthodox path. It's very it's tumultuous. I mean, because it's just you. It's just you. I mean, there's no unions, no nothing, and you kind of guerrilla style of filmmaking. And yeah, I've been doing that, and I've been getting a lot more joy out of it. Now, the financial part is very complicated because funding comes more privately often, but uh, it feels more right for me, and I think I'm on the right path with regards to that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, a soldier of the arts got to be a guerrilla filmmaker. That makes total sense to me. Um, can you share, since this is inside the audition, can you share your audition process? So, lands in your inbox from your agent. Hey, we've got this opportunity. Here's the breakdown. Here's the sides. What does Kody do from that moment to the moment you record the audition?
I read everything. Uh, I think I think a lot of actors don't actually read the debrief and the context. So, because I mean, we get it, and we have all sorts of stuff going on in our lives. We have very itinerant lifestyles, and often I feel like they don't read it. I read everything. I mean, everything in detail, and if need be, research. Um, and also, I don't waste my time with things I don't think are appropriate for me. So if I get sent, I don't know, a water polo audition. I mean, I don't do water polo. So I'm not. I'm
Well,
not.
there goes a big old category, everyone. All those water polo rolls, Cody's not having them.
I don't know where that came
You
from,
sure
but
about that, man? That's a big. I know what you mean, though. If it like you want to do things that spark joy, do things that interest you, do things that you're excited about, not just do it because it came across your table.
yeah. So like, I deny auditions, and I have a great relationship with my agent. I mean, she tolerates me, which is, I'm an eccentric. Let's be honest. And so but we have a trust, and the trust is when I do something, she knows I do it. I'm 110%. And when I don't do something, it's not because I'm, slacking off or anything. It's because I really don't think it's best, and I have no interest of doing it. And I don't think I can actually solve the problem of the casting director or the director. So I guess that's the first step. And then when I actually do it, again, I really try to keep preconceived notions or premeditating about the thing, like really end gaming. Like I guess putting the financial stress, like if I don't get this audition, I'm not gonna pay for this or pay for that. I really put that I'm doing so much and that I have other things going on in my life. So I really just try to have fun with it. I really try to experiment, put it in the laboratory of my imagination and let fly. I don't adhere to a lot of rules. I mean, there's certain standards, framing, lighting, sound. Yeah, but ultimately, can they see you? Can they hear you? And right. And I also try not to adhere to an idea of what they want. From
Yes.
my experience as a filmmaker, they don't know what they want. And they might say they do, they don't. As a director, casting director, you have so many people you're conferring with. You have so many uh, details you're trying to organize. You don't know what's up and down. So solve their problem. Go in there and do something imaginative or something they've never seen. Have fun with it. Let fly, ad lib if need be.
I love that. I love that you mentioned what they want because it's such a huge trap that so many actors get stuck in. And even if they, first of all, who is excuse me, who is they?
Exactly.
It's an imaginary collective that you have in your mind. But even if they do know what they want, how do you know what they want? It's like it's if you play that game, you've created a game that you can't win. It's an impossible game. So why are you playing it? Rather than what's my take on this? If I was cast, this is how I would want to do it. This is what's fun for me. These are my big bold choices. And this is my 88 keys on the keyboard that I'm going to show you, like all the things I can do
Yeah.
and my storytelling and my interpretation. And when you do that, then you wash your hands of it and just feel good. Hey, that's the best I'm doing. I prepared really hard for it and put in the work and cared about it, and then take it or leave it. If they don't cast you, you're not feeling like, oh, I got rejected,
Yeah.
or that it was something personal about you. It might have been you might have been incredible, but just not for this one. So
Yeah, like don't be like an I call it don't be an artistic waiter and come and just serve them what they want. Be the culinary expert. Throw in some nutmeg, throw in some cinnamon, get experimental, have fun, right?
love
Give
nutmeg.
them a dish that they never had before,
I
you
love
know?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, give him some eggnog. Give him some og. Yes. Uh, yeah. Say it again? You said culinary.
Culinary
Don't
expert.
you said don't be an artistic waiter, be a culinary expert. I love that.
Yeah,
Also
that's a good
said
turn of phrase, yeah.
you also
Mhm.
said earlier you said laboratory of the imagination, which was good as well too. Yes. You could tell you're a writer. You have a writer's brain.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
good phrase, yeah.
for those paying attention at home, you might have to look up some of these words because he's got great diction and he's a lexicon of ideas. Uh,
I wouldn't say that. I try.
um, So now you've, and not just now, I know you've been doing this before, but I was going to say now you've also become one of our coaches on our coaching team, helping people when you're in Toronto here in our studio or virtually via Zoom sessions all over the world. Can you tell me a little bit about when that started? I know you've been doing that and helping other actors for quite some time. When did you make the shift into helping other actors and why?
Yeah. So I mean, it was mandatory in my rigorous theater training in United Kingdom to do tutelage, kind of assistantships. So, and that was a rigorous training, and I was very happy with it. Again, it kind of went back to the soldiers. A small aside here, how orthodox the school was. It was kind of a Hogwarts for the arts,
I love
like a
that.
like a little cobblestone walls and stuff, and it was at the time it was getting bought by the University of Essex, and things have changed. It's become more like conventional and standard academic, but at the time it was really groundbreaking stuff. And we would do a play about the IRA, like the whole like the terrorists happening in Belfast with Ireland and stuff like that, the pipe bombings. And
Yeah.
it was a play about that set in the 80s. And and the and the director, which is this wild old guy. He just it was raining, and he said, "Okay, we're going outside." And we had like the full IRA garbs, and we went and we were digging trenches, and we went in the mud.
Jesus.
Like, I mean,
Immersive.
immersive. Yeah. So with that, in that very unorthodox training, I mean, it was very common to just pitch in. You would help a professor. I mean, they weren't really professors. Some of them weren't even formally accredited. They're just doing slapstick comedy on a wharf in the United Kingdom. But, but, but yeah, you would help them out, and you would hand out scripts, and then that carried on when I came in Toronto, and I met my current mentor and good friend, Alan C. Peterson, who's truly one of the best Canadian talents working in Canadian film today. And he ran again very unorthodox training sessions, like the basement of a brewery, and he studied with when they were alive. He's kind of a living vestige of them. But he worked with Stella Adler and Lee Strasberg when they were alive. So he's an incredible vault of information. And I would help him hand out scripts and stuff like that, and I would pitch in to the class when I could, and it started there. And I now it's we're here.
What do you like most about helping other actors?
Well, I, it's kind of it's not just the artistic side, which we can all anyone can give a lecture with enough information about a book or about a method or whatever. But it's really tips and tricks that have helped me through my life, right? And that's what I've been given from my mentorship. Like small things, how to survive as an artist, um, what things to look for in a meeting, what things to look for at a recall, small things like that. So obviously, in the coaching part, you focus on more of the intellectual script and the auditioning portion. But I also give like genuine help towards like life, because it's a very tumultuous thing, and you can lose your mind doing this work. But small things. I remember how with my mentor, it would just be very common, like it would just you would pay as you go kind of sessions. And one time I was having a rough. This is way in the beginning when I was at Toronto. I was having a rough month, and he just said, "You know what? Just get me a coffee," you know, and this and that. And you meet people like that, and I tend to bring that into the room with all the experience and the education and the industry experience, but also the life stuff, the humanness. Yeah.
Love that. When you are working with someone on an audition specifically, how and I know this is we don't have the time to go into a full-blown masterclass on it, but what are
Yeah.
some of the ways that or techniques or things that you look at to help them unlock more than what they may have thought of on their own?
Yes, I find particularly people who often, are buying a service for an audition. They come in sometimes so over prepared, and that's good. I mean, I always advocate preparation. But sometimes, again, like I mentioned, the intellectual armor, you come with this end gamed result, and I often find dissolving that and relinquishing control and just kind of falling into the sing and song and the rhythm of a piece of a script helps greatly. Kind of reaching the intuitive free flow state. And I often do that. So often I ask a lot of questions in a session, in order to get them out of their own heads, you know.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's important that people see it as it's like, yeah, you want to have your planning, you want to have your prep, and you've done your script analysis. Excuse me, you've done your own rehearsal. But if you come in too locked and loaded, you lose the opportunity to go back to the sandbox and back to play and back to just, oh, this is a new moment that's just happening now for the first time, rather than this is take 100 where I sip with my right hand and then I move my left hand and I turn on like all that prescribed behavior where you've just planned the whole thing. So I like that. That's good. What do you think are some of the common traps or common mistakes? Like if you were to if over the years, either things you've done yourself or things you've seen in other actors, what would you say are the common traps or pitfalls when it comes to auditioning? Aside, we talked about one of them being doing what they want. What are some other things that you think actors fall into?
Doing too many takes. I mean, that's a sign. I mean, I've worked with directors who that's a different, like that's from a filmmaker's more directorial standpoint. But if you're hammering out these takes, there's a problem. There's an embedded problem there. I mean, if you're really playful and you're having fun and you're really exploring, like I mean, you should finish like a take and you go, I don't know what really happened, but something happened. And that's a good place to be in the unknown, right? To live in that space of this kind of the cloud of unknowing. But if they're usually doing a lot of takes, they're thinking while they're doing it, right? They're
Right.
thinking, they're going, oh, this is not, oh, my eye line wasn't there. And I'm like, okay, so another take. And it's like, and the reason why the take's not working is because you're not relinquishing control, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And not being present in that moment as the human being in that scene, having all those actor thoughts. Um,
That said, there has been some comments where it's like, yeah, my eye line wasn't as and this is understandable. Okay, you put another take in, but sometimes it can I guess as a coach you have to distinguish between what is their intellect interfering with the actual scene, or just kind of framing issues, or just small things that are easy to fix, right?
right. Love that. What's next for Kody? What are you working on these days? What are you looking to manifest? What's your dream roles, dream projects? What do you got going on?
A lot. um, I just had a night shoot actually, so I'm slightly sleep deprived right now, but
You're doing great. Yeah.
I'm doing great, rifting. But yeah, I had a night shoot. It was for I can't say much about it, but it was for a film, and it's called Love from Room 109, and it's a period piece, and it's set in a motel about the life of this prostitute in the 50s, and how she navigates that lifestyle, and she meets a blind man. It's interesting because at that time people would be living in motels, right? It's very far from us, but at that time people would be living in motels or living in flop houses. But she meets a blind man who's getting disability checks from the government, and there's a story about this kind of relationship she builds with this man, and navigating the clients that she has to cater to in this motel, to kind of her overlord, which is kind of the antagonist of the film. So that's something to look out for. I have no idea what's happening with distribution. I think we're pushing for a Cannes Film Festival. Uh, and in terms of something else that I can kind of plug in, um, I did a project with a Los Angeles film director, Brian Lutz, and it's called Not a Love Story. And we have an industry premiere. We're sold out, which is exciting, but I would awfully offer tickets if I could. But it's officially a full house now at the Cineplex in Ottawa. But yeah, that's a third film out of, I guess it's a trilogy now. I mean, they're kind of standalone films, but I guess it's a trilogy now. So there was Painted Sharks, Pictures of Us, and Not a Love Story. So the premiere at the Cineplex is just for Not a Love Story, and it looks like we have a distribution deal with Crave TV and I believe Netflix for a 72 country deal.
Right on.
So yeah, so look out for that. That's going to be on Crave TV and Netflix and maybe Prime Video this year, I believe. So yeah.
Cool. What's your dream role? Is there still something that's like eluded you that you're like one day this is going to be mine?
Oh God.
Either by auditioning for it or writing it.
Oh God. I try to stay away from dream roles because I'm just more interested in what I'm doing currently in the moment. You
Hmm.
know. Uh, but yeah, I mean, there's things I pitched around in my own imagination in terms of scripts. I have things that I'm writing that I'm interested in exploring, not mostly in my work, but mostly for an actress that would be a part of the project, and to kind of give you a kind of synopsis of the story. I can't give much in terms of title yet because it's just all under lock and key. But it's a real story that I heard about a Turkish woman, and she lived an incredible life. She told me her story about coming to Canada and meeting this very horrible man. She got herself in a very just hapless love relationship and marriage, uh, and it led to abuse, and it led to an abortion, and of course, coming from a very religious country, it hits her twice as hard as abortion. So I'm very interested right now in writing this woman's life, you know, on for the screen, and all sorts of discoveries are happening in language. I mean, how she held words, the English language, as a Turkish speaker was quite interesting. So yeah, I guess I'm interested more in that role than anything I would inhabit. So I
Well,
don't
that's cool.
know.
Cool. I mean, that's one of the opportunities about when you are a writer and filmmaker, you create platforms for other people to tell other people's stories. So I love that. All right, we're gonna start wrapping up here. We're gonna bring this audition shit back to port. I want to thank Kody for joining us today, sharing his unique audition journey and his acting journey as a soldier of the arts. You said the word earlier, eccentric, in a good way. That is also how I would describe. Excuse me, I'm still choking on my food from earlier. Um, I'm not getting choked up. So, what I was going to say is, in a good way, you are very unique. I think you're a one of a kind person, which is probably why you're doing well in the arts as an actor and as a filmmaker. You can learn more about what Kody's up to. You can visit him on Instagram. Go to Kody Poisson Film. We'll link it up. That's KodyPoissonFilm at Kody Poisson Film. We'll link it up in the show notes. And I just want to remind all our listeners, for those of you who are emerging actors, or you're film and theater actors, maybe you're a director, maybe you're a casting director or producer. If you're making bold moves in the industry and you've got a story to tell, I would love to interview you. We interview industry pros at all stages of their journey to come on here, share your practical tips, your wisdom, your inspiration. You can apply to be a guest on a future episode at insidetheaudition.com. While you're there, make sure you subscribe, listen to an episode. And one more time, again, we talked about it, but mastering powerful monologues is the most effective way to showcase your talent and ultimately attract more audiences, agents, casting directors, and your next lead role. You can get started with the Monologue of the Month Club at monologueclub.com. And remember that every audition that you get is an opportunity to showcase your talent to the world. And the next audition that lands in your inbox might be the one that ends up changing your life. To get professional coaching 7 days a week, either in our Toronto studio or virtually worldwide, you can go to actorsauditionclub.com. You can book one of our coaches to work with you, including Kody here. He's available. We'll help you shoot a standout audition in less time than doing it at home with your crazy neighbor or your cat running around in the background. We'll help you book that next lead role. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Inside the Audition.